Ahoy there, folks. Gigi here from Shift Happens. Here for another B-side episode for our B-Sides and Rarities channel on Spreaker. And we are here with one of my favorite comedians of all time, although he doesn't do stand-up comedy. He is fucking hilarious. And, you know, I had a couple of original ideas for this. At first I wanted to have him on the main show just to throw a curveball. But then I realized we can't cuss on the Fringe FM, so that didn't work. And anyway, long story short, we ended up doing this B-side episode instead. Oh, you know what? I need to post this link over here to... Where are these crazy bastards? Internet Somalia. Yeah, they're going to get a kick out of this. There's a link. Bam! There you go. But yeah, so Aaron Yonda is one of the... Hey, what's happening, Neil? Wow, that was really quick, Neil. We're really on track, sir. So yeah, he's one of the OG... Well, he runs a channel called Game Society Pimps. Him and Emery and Adam and Jason, if you know who I'm talking about. But if you don't, then there's just no time to explain. You probably also might know him for beer and board games and all the other stuff they do over there at Blame Society. And I do understand that a lot of our core audience will not have any interest whatsoever in what we're talking about tonight. But you know what? I don't really care, because this is for me. For once, I'm doing a show for me. And so that's what we're going to do tonight. And as a B-side episode, we don't have commercial breaks. We have to worry about promoting sponsors, none of that stuff. It's just full tilt boogie mode here tonight, and that starts right this very now. What's going on, Aaron? How are you?
How's it going? Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, and thanks for doing this. So you're arguably so. You're one of the more successful, I guess to put it in layman's terms, I would describe as what you do as video game parody comedy. And you have countless different shows that you do, whether it's Game Society Pimps or Blame Society. And is that an accurate description of what you do today?
Yeah, I'm basically just a YouTuber, I think is the best way to look at it. I've got two different channels. I make video game, they're sort of called, I guess what we do is sort of video game Let's Plays, where we're playing the games and making commentary, but we also develop stories within video games that aren't there, and we make jokes and characters a lot of times, or we just we're just funny like while we're playing video games. And then on my other channel, drink beer and play board games on beer and board games, and occasional sketch comedy, playing characters.
Yeah, and that's definitely, I think my favorite show of all time, whether it's TV or film or movies or just YouTube, easily top 10 is Skyrim for Pimps. I mean, you can't beat that. But also your live streams are really fun too. It's really amusing how you and Emery and you and I don't know. There's just I think what I relate to is we grew up, with all the shit talking and whatnot. I grew up very much the same way, although we grew up skateboarding. Let's put it this way. If you and Adam and Emery grew up skateboarding in Houston, Texas, where we were, you would definitely be filming with us every day. Put it that way. So I totally relate to that, which is... not everybody, it's amazing how many people don't understand that it's all in some sort of fun,
Right.
Like if you actually were to print a transcript of what is said on your streams, like you'd probably be thrown in prison.
Yeah, take things out of context, or take the the way that we're saying them. Then yeah, there could be some incriminating things in there, definitely. But we're constantly threatening each other, and I'm always telling Adam that trying to make him as sad as possible, and he tries to make me as sad as possible too, and we try to make each other angry, and it's kind of a contest to see who can make the other guy feel shittier sometimes.
Yes, exactly, and that's why I love your guys' shit. Hey, what's up, Kay? Hey, what's up, Neil? Yeah, that's exactly it. I mean, don't get me wrong. You and Emery definitely have some epic. Like a couple of weeks ago, you guys were arguing over, you tried to make Emery think that he actually did eat that piece of pizza, and.
Yeah, it was like a little mind game that I was playing with him, because I was pretty sure I had another piece of pizza, and he's standing there eating, and I'm just like, yeah, you're guilty, and he's just like, I didn't touch it. He was very upset that I tried to accuse him of pizza stealing, which he's done stuff like that before, so it wasn't that far out of the realm of possibility, but
you knew he didn't do it.
Yeah, I was pretty certain that he hadn't done it. He seemed very confused, and but then it turned into this ridiculous argument that has spanned multiple live shows now.
Yes, I've noticed, and the best part for me was the face that Jason had while you guys were arguing.
Yes. Poor Jason, stuck in the middle of our fight, and Jason's a really nice guy. He doesn't he's not big on public arguments. He does really funny impressions, and he's just sort of a lighthearted dude, so he's just sort of like trauma stricken, like watching us battle it out on the dumbest argument ever.
So okay, let's start this at the beginning. How exactly did you and Emery and Aaron ever meet? Well, I guess let's go ahead and include Jason too. How did the four of you meet, and how did this alliance known as the Game Society Pimps start? Which I mean, correct me if I'm wrong. What was it? 2009, 2010, something like that?
Yeah, I believe that. Well, it was I think maybe around 2000. Yeah, you're right. 2009 or 10, and at the time, I'd had some success along with my pal Matt Sloan with a series called Chad Vader, which was about Darth Vader's younger brother, who was not as famous or well known and just worked at a grocery store. And that series is sort of what launched my career doing this kind of stuff. And at the time, we were looking for someone who could do really good or better lightsaber effects than what I was able to do with my own editing skills. They were pretty terrible. So I posted on Facebook, and Adam saw it, and he worked with Emery on short films, and so Emery did the special effects for Chad Vader, and we kind of started working together every so often. Adam would come up here a lot to help out with shoots, and eventually I said, oh man, I'm really I'm thinking about starting a video game channel, because I really want to do gameplay and make comedy out of it. And Adam said, oh, that's cool. Well, Emery and I are both into it, and Emery's really good at editing, and so we kind of joined forces way back then to start doing exactly what we're doing today, basically. And then our first channel got shut down by YouTube after about a year. We had about 25,000 subscribers, and YouTube saw some video that they didn't like, and we don't really know the details other than they
didn't like it.
What?
Oh no, go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say, I remember it was actually, they said that we were using copyrighted music, and we weren't. So we appealed it, and they were like, oh yeah, you're right, you weren't using that. But then they just they pulled our Google AdSense completely from the channel because I don't know. I think somebody looked at it and was just like, and so we had no way to exist on that channel on YouTube anymore. So we started over. 25,000 subs. Tried to get them to switch over to a new channel, and then Skyrim for Pimps kind of took off, and that's kind of what thrust our new channel forward. And what we got about 460,000 subs now or something.
If I'm not mistaken, I'm pretty sure you guys have about 250,000 subs, which is amazing. And
yeah. No, I think we're up to like 460,000, although it does go down occasionally or fairly regularly because of the way that YouTube is structured now. But we've got our core audience, and so that's really all that matters.
Yeah, have they done that spam purge yet? Has that happened yet?
Yeah, I think that just happened a couple days ago. I don't know how much it mattered for our channel, but as long as they're not getting rid of our actual live active accounts, I don't care.
Okay, so I do want to get into that a little bit, or a lot actually. But before we do get to that, so how did kind of want to take it back to the beginning. How did Adam and Emery meet, and then what because if I'm not mistaken, Adam's pretty much my age. He's like 32, 33, something like that.
I think he just had a birthday. Yeah, he might. No, I think he's 31.
I don't know. I think he's 32. Although you would probably, obviously, know better.
Yeah, you're right. I think he is 32.
I think he is, right? And then Emery's probably around the same age.
Yeah, he is about. She's a year younger than Adam, so.
But you're a whole generation older. So...
I'm like World War II veteran age.
All right, but like I said before the show, I thought you were like 34 tops. Mostly
no, it's weird. Like
your...
I aged a whole bunch for some reason, and I don't really understand how or why it happened. And I often apologize for it because I feel bad, but it just is this ridiculous thing that happens to you, and you can't do anything about it. So you're just kind of fucked. But I don't like being older, but I don't have a choice.
Yes, that's true. You do. Yeah, you do not have a choice, but you do have a choice in presenting yourself to where you do. Like I said, I thought you were like 34. Like you seem like you would fit right in with us. But anyway, let me get back to. So, how? I think you did touch on this lightly, but I want to know exactly. So you got Adam and Emery. And then where does 10-year older Aaron come into play? Did you guys go to college together? Did you guys work on a project together? Like what? Because you live in what's it called? Wisconsin,
Madison.
right?
Yeah, Madison, Wisconsin, and they're in Chicago. And so what happens is they just have to come up here a lot.
Well, obviously, but do they? Where? How did you guys? How did you meet them, and then what made you guys decide that this is the crew, like this is the team right here?
That's a good question. After I worked, with them on some of the Chad Vader and other sketch videos, I felt like there was some talent there, some raw talent, especially on Emery's part. Adam's a talentless hack, but Emery's actually quite talented, and so I felt like there was something there I could work with, and so we started. We tried out doing some videos. Actually, Adam and I were the guys commentating early on, and then Emery and I became like the two main commentators for our channel, just because we have kind of a synchronicity, I guess, and a good style of working together. So that was kind of how that happened. I know they met in film school, and worked on a bunch of projects together. Adam had a production company called Figure It Out Productions. He still does. He's got his own YouTube channel and stuff too. And so he had that going on, but gradually he's between his channel and Game Society Pimps. That's sort of the two main things he does. Whereas for me, it's Blame Society Films, Beer and Board Games, and the gaming channel. And then Emery does a lot of role-playing RPG stuff. What's outside of Game Society, that's his like passion, and plays a lot of video games, of course.
Yes, absolutely. So when it comes to all right, I've got so many questions. I want to ask them in the right order. Let's see. So let's go ahead and start here. So let's go back to Blame Society in beer and board games. Obviously, Matt Sloan did the voice. Well, here's what I'm not clear about is he did the voice of Darth Vader, right? And you had some involvement in that. You had some role. Was that something that was right off the bat sanctioned by, George Lucas / Disney, or how did that, or was that something that you guys just made by yourselves and it got picked up after that point?
Well, I guess what sort of happened with Chad Vader is that it became so popular. It was like featured on YouTube multiple times. It was featured in all the major newspapers. It was on a Good Morning America brief for an episode. And it became very popular, and it got the attention of Lucasfilm, of course. And so and the thing is, like, when we were making Chad Vader, we were always paranoid. We were like, are they going to shut us down? In fact, we tried to sell the idea to various budding internet companies like at CBS and NBC, but they were all, oh no, this will get litigated. We can't do this. Right. But Matt and I were just like, well, we have nothing to lose, so we'll just fucking make it. Who cares? And see what happens. And then an amazing thing happened. And I think most of this has to do with George Lucas sort of having a good feel for the internet and the future of entertainment and how to keep your creative work alive for years and years and years, which is, don't just clamp down on everything that people do that involves your work. I mean, basically our character was, it was Darth Vader, but as like sort of a, he looks like Darth Vader, but he's a different character. And basically what it came down to is that Lucasfilm saw it. There was enough people at Lucasfilm that didn't want to shut us down. They outnumbered the people who did want to shut us down, so they kind of let us live. In fact, they actually flew us out there at one point. We got to meet a bunch of people, and they kind of asked us what we wanted to do with Chad Vader. And we said, well, we'd like to make it a TV show. And they were like, okay, that might be possible. Why don't you try, pitching at Comedy Central? And actually the FX network was interested really interested. But ultimately, Lucasfilm said, like, well, you can't make Chad Vader the main character. And we were like, well, we can't make the series if he's not. So that was the end of the TV show talk, unfortunately. But they just kind of let us live. They kind of liked what they saw. We got the Fan Film Award in 2007 from George Lucas.
Yeah.
One of the big thrills of my life, of course, was the fact that he actually said my name.
Didn't he actually make a joke about your name?
He did. He made a joke out of my name. He said, "Here, the Fan Film Award this year goes to Matt Sloan and Aaron Yonda."
Oh, that's right.
And then he pretends like, "Oh, sorry, Aaron Yonda." And I was like, "Wow, George Lucas made a joke out of my name. This is pretty much as good as life gets."
Yeah, that's some brownie points right there.
Yeah. So that was insane. And we were able to keep doing that up till 2012, and then YouTube kind of changed the rules about how they were promoting content, and we couldn't make it anymore. It was too expensive, so we had to stop.
Yeah, and so, okay. let's do this. How about this? What did you originally set out to do, and how did you end up doing what you're doing now? What sort of curveballs? Well, obviously, what you just talked about, but was there anything else?
I mean, if you want to go farther back, I kind of, the internet just didn't really support stuff like this until YouTube came around. And so I didn't really know that this was something that I would be doing until 2006. Before that, I had made short films, been in some film festivals. I thought, like, man, it'd be really cool to make a TV show or, become a writer for TV or something like that. And we got an agent in 2005 before the whole YouTube thing. But, and we got a few jobs, but not a ton of exciting stuff happened. A lot of promises were made. Not much really ever came out of it. But so then when we made Chad Vader and it took off, that's when everything started to happen, and suddenly we were YouTubers, which was a new thing, and still is in a way sort of a new thing, even though there's a lot more people doing it now.
Yeah.
But yeah, obviously never expected that to happen, and I never expected to, just randomly start working with two guys that I met on Facebook, who lived in a different city. We've been working together now for, 8 years, almost 9 years, and we're still doing it, and we still have a pretty productive relationship. We love to shout at each other a lot, and I think that actually helps that we publicly humiliate each other and shout at each other a lot, because we can just get all that stuff off our chests and joke about it and have fun, and then we're not pissed off at each other the rest of the time.
Yeah. So okay. So where does most people who are familiar with GSP, typically they associate it with you and Emery and Adam, but Jason is also a part of it. So where does he come in? How did he come in? And why is he not pretty much... he was there a couple of weeks ago, but other than that, he hasn't been there in quite a while. So what's the deal behind that, if you can say? I guess there's a variety of reasons. One of them is Jason's really busy, and he does voiceover for his career, and that keeps him pretty occupied, as well as having a family. So he doesn't always have a lot of time to do stuff, but we don't make the celebrity impression walkthroughs that we used to do. We always called them Christopher Walken through videos. Yeah.
But we did Morgan Freeman, we did Jeff Goldblum, or Jason did, and a lot of other celebrities. But I think at some point people they didn't watch those as much as they used to. We used to make some for Machinima. They would actually hire us to make those and give us a budget, which was helpful. So when that stopped, we only made a few more for our channel, and we'll probably still do it now and then, but that was Jason's main contribution. Because he's so busy and because he's got a family and stuff, he doesn't actually game that much on his own, and so I think that kind of limits the ways we can do stuff with him. But like when we're playing a wrestling game or watching a wrestling game, as it is with this WWE game, where we don't actually play it because the controls are so fucking terrible that it's too frustrating to actually play, but you can actually just opt out with your controller and let the AI battle it out in the ring with wrestlers that you've created, or Spider-Man versus Superman or whatever you want to do. Like, so we can act, because of the types of custom characters you can make in the game, you can just sit back and make jokes and watch them fight and not actually play. So that was a fun way to get Jason involved. So we try to get him involved when we can, but the way things are currently, it's it's a little bit more challenging. Plus, you can't make short videos on YouTube because they have to be over 10 minutes. conventional wisdom anyway. They have to be over 10 minutes in order to get any sort of traction on YouTube. They don't
Right.
really don't. They only show videos under 10 minutes to about a quarter of the normal subscribers that they show your longer videos to. So unless that changes, it's harder to make a walking through or a celebrity video because those usually weren't 10 minutes. So
Yeah, and man, I've got to say, I can't remember which one it was, but it was either the Trump playing GTA online
yeah.
or it was Obama. Probably both, really. I mean, that dude's got a talent, son.
Yes. Yeah, he's been able to do both the last. Actually, he could do George Bush as well, so he can do most of the presidents pretty good. Actually, our most viewed video on YouTube is our. Actually, no, it's not quite our most viewed, but it's almost our most viewed video. It's Obama plays Grand
The
Theft
Obama
Auto.
one, yeah.
And meets a bunch of strangers playing the game and just does a bunch of insane shit and sounds like Obama and says all kinds of funny presidential stuff. And it was just this sort of perfect video that really did well for us. Got millions of views.
Yeah, absolutely. And all right, I'm gonna get back to the origins in a second. But so for you, I mean, first of all, you are funny as fuck. I could throw you into any situation with any group of people, and you kill it every time. Have you ever considered doing stand-up comedy?
Well, first of all, thank you. I appreciate that. I tried stand-up comedy once, and just in front of friends, basically, and it was fun, but not fun in a way that I wanted to submit myself to it ever again. It was fun, but excruciating, I guess, is the best way to put it. It was just like...
Yeah, well...
I did not feel rewarded afterward. I've done improv comedy, which, is as close as I get to stand-up comedy. I've done that for years. But stand-up is just punishing, and because I don't have to do it, because I have other options, I've chosen those other options.
Yeah, that's the thing about stand-up is you are going to bomb. The first time, the second time, the 9th time, the 12th time, the 27th time, but eventually you figure it out. But you have created an avenue for yourself, not just through GSP, but through Blame Society. I don't think you need to do that. And,
right.
I'm sort of a comedy, what's the word I'm looking for? I study the art of comedy. I mostly look at stand-up, but then I see something like Skyrims for Pimps or Kingdom Come or whatever, and you've definitely, you got a spark there. And it's a very unique spark. And I agree. I don't think stand-up is your thing, but what you are doing is your thing. And with that said, you guys have been doing this for about 10 years, pretty much. And so I really do want to get into the adpocalypse situation, and because that affects us too, as well.
Mm-hmm.
And any sort of content producers or YouTubers, I guess you can say. So first of all, before Article 13, how has this been a struggle? And then after that, as a second question, loaded in one, what does Article 13 really down-to-earth terms mean for content creators?
Okay, well, go back to Adpocalypse first, which is, of course, when YouTube started demonetizing videos across the board to appease their advertisers. YouTube always errs on the side of appeasing their advertisers. They don't care about the people who make content on their website. They say they do, but they don't really. They don't have to. There's no reason for them to. But they do have to care about their advertisers. And so Apocalypse came along because there was some fringe content, some hateful content that had ads on it. And so they overreacted and just punished every creator across the board. And we went from, having our best year a couple years ago with YouTube monetization, where it was actually like, becoming enough to, keep making our living, to they cut us down to about, I'd say about a quarter of what we were making in AdSense revenue. And that was just fucking devastating. And so luckily we had our Patreon to back us up. We have our fans support us on a monthly basis there. They support us when we do our live shows, and that all made up for the disparity for the most part. We've never fully recovered, but mostly recovered. And another thing that Adpocalypse did, besides just cut revenue and make it harder to produce content on YouTube, is they changed their system for, how they promote your videos on YouTube. So if you get demonetized, less people are going to see your videos. And if you have regular demonetizations on your channel, the algorithm will, stunt your growth. You'll probably lose subscribers. Just lots of bad stuff happens. And so that when that happened, that made everything a lot harder for us. Like we were on the up and up until Adpocalypse, and then our channel has suffered because of that. And other changes along those lines that YouTube keeps making, because I think they're heading towards trying to make YouTube safe for advertising more and more every year. They're not going to start making it less safe for advertising, which means anybody who swears or has, suggestive content or content that, is a little bit racy or whatever, they're all going to be punished. So unless you become like a kid-friendly channel, you're basically just, you're not going to build a big audience on YouTube anymore. It's just not going to happen. And so then now Article 13, something that takes effect early next year, it's a European law, that copyright thing that's supposed to protect artists. And I don't know all the details. What I do know is that it's going to affect a lot of images that you use in your videos, random images from things, anything that you've used in a video ever, basically, that you didn't have complete rights to, even if you've altered it or you have fair use rights over it, that probably won't matter. And YouTube themselves have said, like, this Article 13 thing is really bad, and the only way we're going to be able to deal with it is just to wipe channels from YouTube for good, in order to stop getting having all kinds of problems violating copyrights. And Twitch has sounded the warning about it. A lot of websites are going to get totally fucked over, because it could potentially require the use of any image to just be all signed for and paid for by whoever the original artist was, which I believe that the people who make things should be compensated for it, but there's a right way to do it and a wrong way, and Article 13 is the wrong way, and so we're all going to get punished. All the people who make content are going to get punished by it. We just don't know how badly. I can tell you that it won't be, there's nothing good that's going to come out of it. It's only just going to be bad, and all the websites are going to overreact and punish all the people who make stuff. Just making it harder for people to create art, I think, is bad. I definitely understand that there should be copyright rules, and people shouldn't, people should be compensated for their art, but this is going to screw over so many people. Potentially it boggles the mind.
Yeah, it is very. I mean, the way I see it is, if you're producing, good content, whether it's funny or intriguing or serious or whatever you want to call it, as far as I'm concerned, as far as I'm aware, rather, you guys are the best at what you do. And I believe Adam said not too long ago, actually he's said it multiple times, that the GSP income revenue has been sliced by like 80% because of all of this bullshit. And it doesn't... I just don't see why.
Right.
If you're getting that many viewers and you guys are producing that good of content, why should you be stripped of 80% of your income? Because once again, that's why you're able to do this, is because people watch it and they pay for it. But when YouTube is taking 80% of it, or if they're not taking it, that 80% is going somewhere. It's definitely not going to you. Well, let me rephrase the question. What can we do as, quote, YouTubers to get back to the way it was a few years ago?
I mean, that's a tough question. I don't really think there's any going back. It's kind of up to YouTube in a lot of ways to improve the way that to keep improving the way they do this. When Adpocalypse first started, they would just default unmonetize all of our videos, and
right.
They've gradually gotten better now. And you can submit it for review, and it's it's not as bad, but it doesn't matter. The damage was already done, and there's really no way to get back to where we were, as far as I can see. I can only see it getting worse at this point, because YouTube's just going to keep clamping down until they make YouTube, this vision of perfect commercialism. And if you don't fall in line with that, I don't think they're gonna have any sympathy for you. So we did try to fall in line with that right when Adpocalypse happened, but it didn't make any difference. So we were just like, we actually took the word pimps out of our name for a while, because we were afraid that was affecting our appearance in the algorithm. We thought that might be doing something. Eventually we're just like, I don't think it is, and I don't really care anymore. We just have our hardcore fans, the people who watch us regularly, and we're fine with that. We're just gonna live with it. They support us and they like what we do, and so we're gonna keep doing it. And there are probably ways to become more popular again if we, for example, put a bunch of our money into advertising on YouTube or other places. But since we're just kind of like barely paying our rent, that's the sort of risk that we can't really take. So I don't know. I don't have much hope that it's going to improve over the next couple of years. I hope it does, and you never know when you'll make something that goes nuts and becomes popular, sort of like Skyrim for Pimps did for us way back when. That's always a possibility, and we do try new stuff all the time. And live streaming has been really a fun thing that we've done lately and been doing more of. So, I think it's just kind of a crapshoot, and you just gotta roll with the punches.
Yeah, it is. And let's see, we got a couple of questions. Not very relevant though. Yeah, I mean, yeah, you guys put out really good shit. I think that's pretty. Anybody that's ever seen Skyrim for Pimps, or even just your live streams, those are a lot of fun. And you have created a very, creative way to generate extra income by having people donate stuff. But it's just kind of, I don't know. I guess I would say I feel like creators like you, well, and us also, but we're not, we're just a little radio show. But you guys actually have a huge following. And the other night, during the after party, I think it was last Wednesday, right? The after party, and you were talking about, some of the best videos you're putting out there. You're getting like $5 or $6. Yeah, no, don't. I'm not going to name any numbers, but very much unjustified for how many viewers you guys are pulling in, and it just seems criminal, I guess you can say. And I think I did suggest to you guys that night looking into something like DTube, although that platform is also pretty, flawed, for lack of a better term. But it just seems like there's... okay, let me ask you this. Do you think that YouTube is going to recover to the point where content creators like yourselves and people that draw as many people as you guys do, do you think that's going to be rightfully rewarded in the near future? Or do you, just in your personal opinion, do you think it's going to get worse?
I mean, I think YouTube's going to keep trying to make vague improvements for creators, but I think, as more stuff like Article 13 or Apocalypse happens, they're just going to continue their, desperate overreaction that punishes all creators. I've no doubt that that's going to continue to happen. And, we just don't really have any ground to stand on. If you do like a movie review show on YouTube and you have the right of fair use because you're showing clips from a movie, but you're reviewing it and you have perfect legal rights to be showing that, the big companies can still claim, the revenue from your video because you used a few clips from their movie, and you can say, no, it's fair use. And we just had this on Blame Society Films. Someone claimed, I think it was an animated film or something that Matt had reviewed, and they, this big company, whoever made the movie, claimed the monetization from the video. And we appealed it, and we said, this is a movie review show. We're using fair use. We went into all the legal language, and they came back, and the company was like, no, we think we have the rights to it. And we just gave up, because if you fail your second appeal, they can potentially have a strike against your channel. So they're, it's really draconian. There's no way to basically just get the rights to something that, you legally have the rights to the monetization of. It's totally absurd. And you just don't have any power because you're not a huge company with lawyers. You're just somebody, trying to get through the week, making your regular quota of videos. And of course, another interesting aspect to being a YouTuber is the fact that in order to be successful on YouTube, you have to put out as much content as humanly possible every week, because that's how you keep people watching you and keep them engaged and keep them coming back and clicking on your videos. YouTube will punish you for, if you only upload a video, every couple weeks or something like that, then they just won't show it to as many of your subscribers, because they don't care, because you're not making content as often. And there's a lot of press about this and about how tough it is to keep up this vicious cycle of content production. And I think YouTube is paying attention to that, and they're actually noticing that, which is encouraging. So who knows? Maybe there are changes already in the algorithm designed to help people like that. I did notice one of our videos got a few more views than it usually did a while ago, but you can never tell like why that is. So it's just kind of like,
Right. Yeah.
you know, who knows? Like I do know that people on Game Society, they've been excited to watch our new series where Emery and I are playing a homeless person simulator. So we're running around in the streets of some like
That is so good. Yeah.
strange country, you know, just trying to find places to take a shit because that's a hard thing to do when you're homeless. So it's just like, it's the weirdest game, but for some reason it's really interesting to watch us play it. Even though Emery hates playing that game, he really doesn't like being homeless. I don't think. I think he knows it's his future.
All right, and with that said, how long did it take Emery to grow that beard?
Boy, I think he's been growing that the whole time I've known him, basically.
Which is how long?
It's like, what has it been? Almost 9 years. I think he's been growing it for at least like 6 years.
Because, you know, I've been trying to do one of those Nick Oliveri from Queens of the Queens of the Stone Age, which that reminds me, you just got to see, or was it Emery? One of you guys got to see
Emery did, yeah.
System of a Down pretty recently. That was Emery,
he saw them when he was out in Vegas.
Okay. Yeah, I thought it was you for a second, but then I realized. Yeah, you know, I tried to grow one of those Nick Oliveri beards from Kotza, and then I just noticed it just stopped growing. And, I mean, I can't believe that Emery's beard is so fucking long. How is that possible?
It's magnificent, definitely. He and you know, I think it's his pride and joy. He really takes pride in that beard. It's
he must,
you know,
yeah,
something special.
Yeah, he must. So, let's say, okay. Well, here's another question. I've got several questions. We got 7 minutes. Actually, we can go longer if we want, but I don't want to keep you longer than I told you we would. So, with that have being said, let's see. Which one am I getting here? So, how... I mean, you and Adam have a very unique relationship, which very much reminds me of my relationship with my best friend. Is it safe to say that if Adam likes something, that you by default will try to not like it?
I mean, I don't have to try. I generally won't. I just don't like most of the things that he likes. Trying to keep an open mind about Shenmue 3 because I backed the Kickstarter. You know, this was quite a while ago because I was like, you know, encouraged by Adam, you know, saying like, oh yeah, this is going to be good. You're going to want to get this. And, you know, we'll see. I'm keeping an open mind, but, you know, he has this weird obsession with like Disney characters, and I don't really get that. I don't really understand. He seems to
be really
excited about
either.
Disney shit,
Yeah.
and that just baffles me.
Yes, I'm right there with you. I don't get that shit either. But I do get the Shenmue thing because I'm right there with him. That's one of my favorite games of all times. I totally understand why you don't, you know, particularly care for it. But I don't know. Do you think you're going to actually play Shenmue 3?
Oh, I think we will, definitely. We'll play it on our channel. And, you know, I've been watching him stream the first game, and I don't totally dislike it or anything. I haven't really developed that much of an opinion about it. He's making me hate it, when he does stuff like when we were streaming, there's a cat in a box that you're supposed to feed or not feed. And I jokingly said, like, no, you can't, don't feed it. Don't feed it. That's hilarious. And then he was like, okay, I won't feed it. And then everyone in the stream freaked out and they were like, you have to feed the cat. And then I was like, okay, you can go feed it. I was just kidding. And he's just like, nope, you can't alter the deal. And then that's just one of these things that he does to infuriate me. Eventually someone paid bits for him to go feed the cat in the game. So that solved that problem. But I was like, this game, like, you have to make a decision whether or not to feed a cat that you find, in a fucking park or whatever it was. It's just like so weird. That's like I mean, well, I played Yakuza enough to understand,
Nope. Gonna stop you right there. Nope. Yakuza, I'm sure, as Adam has probably told you a million times, Yakuza has nothing to do with Shenmue, sir. How dare you?
No, it doesn't. You're right. But for me, it's sort of, exposed me to a totally new style of creating a video game just by having, like, a lot of insane, unexpected, wackadoodle stuff that you would never expect in a game where you're playing a guy who's like a Yakuza, tough guy. It's just like a really, a game like that would never happen in America. And I love Yakuza. I think Yakuza is amazing. Just so
great series, yeah.
Unexpected. And there's this thing about some games that we play where these happy accidents happen as we're going along. And it happened a lot with Skyrim for Pimps. Like, we would, I would just improvise some idea or some character trait, and it would fit in perfectly with the story that the game's creators had made. So we'd be able to create this new story with our own characters that would just somehow fit flawlessly and then actually turn into like a larger, more interesting story. And that happened with Yakuza. And it kind of happens even with that homeless game where, we discovered some stuff in the game that, that they didn't even mean to have in it. And then a glitch happened and we turned that into a story point. It's like sometimes these weird little happy accidents happen that make it look like we really know what we're doing, but we don't. We have no fucking clue. So it's just kind of like we're just kind of, going along with the game, and then we're like, oh, wow, everything we're doing works in perfectly. That's cool.
But I guess so you guys tend to get, whether it's, you three in collective or whether it's Adam in particular, you guys seem to get, well, let's put it this way. Adam is he's in another country every week for Ubisoft this, Machinima that, and I can't help but imagine that you also get the same invites. Is that because of the fact that they know that whatever you have to say about it will have a huge impact, or is there something else going on there?
I don't know about that, but I think what a lot of these companies that we end up developing relationships with get into is just the quality of our content. I mean, because they've told us that much. I'm not trying to toot my own horn. They've said like, oh, that's really, that video was really good, or we really liked that. And so they'll, despite the fact that we don't have a huge reach, they just like what we do, and so they'll involve us with new stuff that they're doing, which is really cool.
Well, which is
especially when it's like a company where like we just love the games that they make. So
yeah, well, I would imagine it's because they have pretty good faith that you guys will say something positive about it, whether it's GSP or Blame Society, whatever. You guys obviously have a pretty big impact on the gaming community, and if you guys vouch for something or if you talk positively about something, they're gonna,
Yeah.
I feel like you must be a pretty valuable asset to them when it comes to that regard. And how do you feel about that? Do you feel like that's justified, or do you feel like you just got lucky, or how do you feel about that?
Well, I'm glad, because I feel like a lot of what we do is just try to have fun with games, which is what they're for. A lot of times we also play games that torture us for the entertainment of our audience. But they're notoriously bad games for the most part, and so that's or grown men shouldn't be playing them, like a fucking Barbie game or something. Like we're about to play this week we're going to play a Mary Kate and Ashley PlayStation game that it'll be terrible, but it wasn't intended for us. We're not the demo, so that's just kind of like something.
And that's the streaming pile of crap, right?
Yes, exactly.
Yes. All right.
But those are games like or a Cabela hunting game that are just, they're not for us, and they're also, most of them, really terrible. But a lot of times we're just playing a game and having fun with it. Especially in beer and board games too. We'll play a board game and just have fun with it. That's our goal. We're not a part of the whole outrage culture. We're not there to Angry Joe the game. We're not there to give people a really point by point breakdown of like why the game is good or bad. That's not what we're into. We're more into storytelling, making jokes, and having fun with games. So,
yeah, what I would call video game parody comedy, basically. And you guys do such a good job, and the tensions between you and Adam, and you and Emery, it's just perfect. You guys really, you've found your craft, and you've made it work, and you've made it work for quite some time. It's just a bit of a shame that YouTube has been, what's the word I'm looking for? Really fucky when it comes to...
that is a great word for what they've been doing.
Yeah, it really pisses me off, and we're very much in the same boat, although obviously we don't have, you guys are a lot bigger, but we're kind of in the same boat. Well, we are in the same boat, and I'm just really, I don't know, I'm just kind of concerned about, because people want to see, just with you guys, people want to see what you guys are putting out there, including me. You've got so many different shows, not to mention live streams. It's so much fun. Like, everything you guys do, it's just great material. And the fact that, because you guys have been doing that for, almost 10 years, right? And then all of a sudden, the last couple of years, you're doing the same thing, the same format. It's working, yet they're basically, fucking you over and taking away all the profits that you should be making. And I think this is something that everybody needs to be aware of, whether it's you or our show or any of the other shows on our network. This is not very good. And with that said, what are the odds of Article 13 actually being passed?
Oh, I think it's already passed. I don't think there's any stopping it at this point. It's just sort of a matter of seeing, like what happens and how all the websites react to it. So, it's kind of this weird thing where either not, best case scenario, nothing changes. Worst case scenario, YouTube freaks out and they actually have to start culling channels from their website because they just have too many violations of whatever Article 13 is trying to prevent. So, if that happens, then I guess DTube or anywhere else, I guess, if there's still anywhere left on the internet that can do it. The thing is, like, it's not like we're going around using other people's content for the most part, but occasionally we will grab some images from things off the internet and then combine them into a new image, either for a thumbnail or just for like a funny thing in the video. So I don't know that many of our videos have potential violations in them, but I also don't really know like what Article 13 is going to affect. So it just wouldn't surprise me if it has some sort of catastrophic, far-reaching effect that no one can foresee, because that's what happened with Adpocalypse when we had multiple videos in the algorithm, and then Adpocalypse came along, and all of a sudden those videos were thrust out of the algorithm. The new subs dried up, and it was impossible for us to reach most of our current subscribers. And that was all because of Adpocalypse. There was literally no other reason why that happened. They popped out our videos that were getting us new fans out of the algorithm, and none of our videos get into the algorithm anymore beyond that. There was one a while ago, but it's so rare now that it's nearly impossible.
Man, yeah, it really is a shame, because you guys are, yeah, sure, somebody made that game and they produced it, but what you guys are doing with that is you are creating a whole nother realm of comedy that nobody else is doing, and that in itself, I think, at least, should be properly rewarded, which it was for a while. Until a couple of years ago. Yeah. And
I think it's possible there will be other places or other avenues to do stuff like this or to take stuff like this. But YouTube's just kind of our passion and the place that we started doing it and the place we'd like to continue doing it. We'll just have to see what happens.
So what about Twitch? What's the I've noticed you guys very specifically talking about how Twitch isn't quite the best way to go. Can you elaborate on that? You don't have to.
I mean, for us, it's something we're still trying to develop. So, it could be years from now that we actually turn Twitch into something that is useful for us. I think a lot of what you have to do on Twitch is be there on a regular basis, and then people will come back and watch you more often, or there might be other strategies that we could employ to become more successful on Twitch. But doing that and doing the stuff that we do on YouTube, it's impossible. You just can't do all of it. You gotta focus, because if you spread yourself around too much, then everything just suffers. So
right.
Yeah, we're gonna stream over there sometimes. But as far as developing our Twitch presence and making things get successful for us over there, I don't think that's ever going to happen because we just don't have time. So,
well, man, let's see. We've gone over an hour, and I do have a lot more to say, but I don't want to take up too much of your time. Oh, yeah.
Well, you can always have me on again sometime.
Absolutely. And I do want to apologize to the chat room. I'm going to be honest. I was not looking at the chat room the whole time. So, sorry about that. But hey, if you want to hang out for a couple of minutes, I got a couple other things that I wanted to get your take on. There it is. All right. Anyways, thanks, ladies and gentlemen. This has been Shift Happens for the friend. Well, no, I guess not. This is just Shift Happens, only for Shift Happens. And, man, I lost it. I totally lost it. No, here it is. All right. But yeah, hang out for 1 second, man. And
sure.
I got a couple. All right, thanks, dude. And with that, I'm trying so hard not to say that phrase. Ladies and gentlemen, if you have a better way of saying what that said, please email that to me. I would love to know that, because I'm pretty sure that's the only way you can say that. Wow. Anyway, but real quick, before we do go, where can, Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, where can everybody find you?
You can find us on YouTube. Game Society Pimps is our channel, and my other channel is Blame Society Films. The show is Beer and Board Games. I also do stuff as a character that I play. His name is Hal Thompson. Hal actually interviewed Dweezil Zappa recently, and that interview will be coming out this week.
Oh boy, yeah. Trust
on
me,
the Blame Society Films channel, and it's fun.
Yes, the Hal Thompson interviews are the best. Absolutely. And with that said, ladies and gentlemen, we are going to get right on out of here. Thanks for listening to Shift Happens. This show is hosted and produced by me. Everything else is by me. I'm not going to waste your time. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll be back for our regular show next Friday with Laura Eisenhower. That's right, you heard me correctly. And special thanks goes out to Eric Awakening Man, our roaming reporter. And another special thanks goes to Dennis Koch for all the promotion he does for the show and everything he does. Thank you, Dennis. We really do appreciate it. And another special shout out to Jordan McAvoy. Check out his band at infiniteempiretheband.com. And we'll see you guys next week. Take care, folks. Cheers.